you to care. I know I've said it before, but all of our bridges burned down. I've wasted my nights, you turned out the lights. Now I'm paralyzed, still stuck in that time when we called it love. But even the sun sets in paradise. I'm at a payphone trying to call home. All of my change I spent on you. Wherever time's gone, baby, it's all wrong. Where are the plans we made for two? If happy ever after did exist, all those fairy tales are full of it. Yeah, now I'm at a payphone. I hit my dinner in my bathtub, then I go to sex clubs, watching freaky people get it on. It doesn't make me nervous, if anything I'm restless. Yeah, I've been around and I've seen it all. I get home, I got the munchies, binging on my Twinkies, throw up in the tub and I go to sleep. And I drink up all my money, days and kinda lonely. You're gone and I gotta stay high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Staying in my play pretend where the fun got no end. Oh, can't go home alone again. Need someone to numb the pain. Oh, staying in my play pretend where the fun got no end. Oh, can't go home alone again. Need someone to numb the pain. You're gone and I gotta stay high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind.
Winter, now red, my bloody nose leaping. You're on your tippy toes, creeping around. It's beautiful, it's bittersweet. You're like a broken home to me. I take a shot of memories and black out like an empty street. I fill my days with the way you walk and fill my nights with broken dreams. I make up lies inside my head like one day you'll come back to me. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just depressed that you're gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. Da, 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 in my head, da, 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 in my bed, da, 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 ay, making beautiful mistakes. Da, 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 in my head, da, 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 in my bed, da, 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 ay, making beautiful mistakes. Full, I can't believe how every day gets worse for me. I take a break, I cut you off to keep myself from looking soft. I fill my nights with the way you was and still wake up with broken dreams. I make these lies inside my head feel like they're my reality. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just depressed that you're gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. Da, 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 in my head, da, 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 in my bed, da, 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 ay, making beautiful mistakes. Da, 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 in my head, da, 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 in my bed, da, 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 ay, making beautiful mistakes. Da, 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 ay, making beautiful mistakes. I caught it bad yesterday. You hit me with a call to your place. Ain't been out in a while anyway. Was hoping I could catch you throwing smiles in my face. Romantic talking, you don't even have to try. You're cute enough to play with me tonight. Looking at the table and I see the reason why. Baby, you live in the life, but baby, you ain't living right. Champagne and drinking with your friends. You live in the dark, but I cannot pretend. I'm not faced, only innocent. If being in your garden, you know that you can. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me out by your name, I'll be on the way. Like hey, hey, I wanna sell what you're buying. I wanna feel on your lips in Hawaii, yeah. I want the jet lag from playing and flying. Put a smile on your mouth while I'm diving. Find me the sign of the times every time that I speak. A dime and a nine, it was mine every week. What a time and it's flying, that was shining on me. Now I can't leave, and now I'm acting hella elite. Never want.
Welcome in and welcome along. Most importantly, welcome back to a new season of EGFC. The Collegiate Season 4 kicks underway with Counter-Strike as the second to last series to begin. I'm Time to Light, joined alongside me is Tyler once more. And Tyler, a new season's upon us. Any expectations coming in to start things off?
I am just so excited to be here to have Counter-Strike back. You know, it's felt like such a long off season, and now that we're back with the school year, new teams, new players, and our favorite Tubby Muffin on Villanova is back on the roster. So obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing that. We've also added in UCONN, which is who we're going to see here against Villanova, and we also have Weber State, RIT, and Bowling Green as new teams to the league. So we're very excited to see how these new teams fare. We've seen some pretty scary players on these rosters. So to see how they perform as a unit. I know UConn told us today that they've just been practicing together for a couple weeks at this point. So Villanova now with a full season under their belt, we're going to see how that all plays out for them.
Well, you can see here's our schedule for this week specifically, but into the game itself, it'll be Villanova University starting off on, I believe, the CT side. I believe the sides are incorrect because the team switched. Give me 2 seconds and I promise I'll fix it. Yeah, sides are switched. Bang, there we go. Magic. Love when that happens. Well, into the game. To start things off, Tyler, who's winning knife? I need a prediction. You got to start things off on the right foot.
We know it's going to be a knife. Wait, they're already in game, my friend. You got to
Yeah.
remember that. We
Who's
already
winning
knew that.
pistol? Sorry, I meant
Oh,
pistol.
pistol. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, knife round matters too. Well, I mean, we've got 1, 2, 3 under the Lose Lion, I'm gonna call it, going into here already. That's a huge answer from Tubby and Cheney and ATA tag,
Ooh.
3 for 3, but 1, 2, 3 coming in and get that double kill. This is now completely up for grabs with that bomb down. Who's gonna get that first?
Ellis gets it down, at least for the time being. The weirdest part is the fact it's a doubled up retake, not to be successful. Tyre on the backside of Construction, able to take down Cheney, and a Reshiram will fall as well. It is UCONN to pick up the pistol. Well, they've started things off on the right foot here as they've joined EGFC. At least their Counter-Strike team has.
Making a great first impression and great first statement, and we're going to see Villanova going for the more complete save with a double nade. Probably going to see something down banana or down mid. Looks like they're going for the B hold. While on the other hand, it's hard to tell. It looks like UConn's just spreading out for that default. They're going to try to avoid those nades. Chunk down to Loverman there.
No way.
Falls down to the nade. That's like a great first pick. So then they have a little bit advantage, but there's still AKs and plenty of guns up on there with Tyne coming in and taking out our boy Tubby.
Yeah,
Pretty
with
good
Mr.
start for
Loverman
UConn
falling.
still.
With Mr. Loverman falling, it's just a Mac 10 down, so not the worst thing. A decent refrag, jump up and over, should be able to find a
Such
kill,
funny
and
players
does.
there.
Ty almost dying in that same right, but a whole hefty bit of utility available for the attacking side should leave them on the right foot. They also have a flank coming in through CT, and with the top orange hold, it's unsuccessful. Cheney will fall last this time rather than second to last, and UConn win the second. On paper, though, that's the round they should win, and they do lose 2 weapons, but both of them were Mac 10s. They were able to recover the sole AK they lost.
Yeah, I really love the way that UConn played cover there. Nobody was left, out on an island. They were getting those refrags super quickly, and despite the fact that Villanova came out with those nades, obviously took down Loverman early and were really well set up to take on that push. UConn wasn't afraid to challenge. They went into it. They took that site, and obviously a pretty clean round to make up round 2. Now with Villanova on that buy round, we're going to see what this actual challenge is. And they've gone to this default setup, the 2-3 on the both sides of it, and UConn opting to play slow, still favoring that B site. So we're gonna see if these gun takes start to make sense for them.
Feel the aggression here for Villanova probably should be a little bit more prevalent. They have a weapon real equalization with JL, the only one on the back foot, and with Tubby Muffin falling, now they have the man advantage as well, starting things off extremely well, not only on the map, but in this round as a whole. They do try to swing onto A. It was an attempted fake, or at least an attempted flank, but either of them were unsuccessful, as you could say, aka tag up on top.
And with the bomb being left at T ramp, the timing for this is going to be a little bit off, but that fake did hold 2 players from the Villanova side onto that A, but you can see them starting to cheat over to B as the nades come in. And here comes the execution onto the site. 1-2-3 looking and misses that UConn. Kwanya gets through, manages to get one. Reshiram goes down from new box area, and it's just 2 people left on the site against the 2 CTs from Villanova who are on the rotation waiting for that smoke to clear.
Carbon copy of our first round. Bomb planted, 2v2. However, Villanova taking a little bit more time to aggress this time around. One towards dark, another towards new boxes. They have to clear out both as they start to push forward. No utility available for the attacking side of UConn as they just look to just chill and wait for Villanova to swing them. You can see a first peek by Lion, a second around the backside. They'll find the headshot as well. They ironically didn't take out AKA Tag, which was luckily not their downfall off rip, but Villanova still fall off another retake and they're down 3-0.
I think even with that being said, like these rounds are the gun round obviously coming down to a 1v1 pretty close. And the same thing was true for that pistol one and then in a 2v2. So certainly no obvious skill differences at this point. And I'm pretty excited to see, how they continue to play these. But for the time being, Villanova back to that low light gun buy. You see a couple MP9s, which of course we know can be super, super deadly. So this is still a dangerous round for UConn, but obviously an advantage going in their favor.
Start things off here. What do you do if you're Villanova, Tyler? I mean, try and take close gunfights. Do you aggress as a team? Do you have a game plan, senor coach?
I mean, personally, I really like stacks. I mean, I'm pretty basic on this. Despite
Me
having
too.
played the game for as long as I have, there's still a very probably high pug mentality for here. But I mean, I think you see they're triggering some of the utility is triggering a rotation already from Villanova. They know that UConn obviously has had a lot of success on that B site, so they're cheating a lot over to there. But now that's going to give them the opening into arches. JL taking out Kwanye. So now Villanova has to deal with this split, and for those with armor, it's probably worth maybe saving those MP9s at this point because they're already fully on site and fully committed. And taking this without any long range weapons is going to be a real challenge.
And at this point, it's almost a certainty just to save. Villanova may be looking for a few exits, but the bomb gets planted. Second time is the charm, I suppose, there for UConn. But this should be a relatively clean round to finish things off. Maybe a little bit of economic damage done by Villanova. Nice spray from DS, but they will fall after finding only one. The P250 finding the second, but that's all it will indeed find. Reshiram only has a CZ, and not all that much to work off of. Well, hey, they've actually found an AK. They've made a sound cue, though, and he's dead. He's so dead. So very dead. Yep.
Oh, man. If only he hadn't jumped, I think he probably could have made that out. But, man, that timing almost worked really well. He could have popped down in mid and maybe gotten one, maybe two frags there. But, you know, there's a little bit of damage done there. Nothing wrong with taking an AK off the board when you can. UConn up 4-0 is going to put Villanova in kind of a difficult spot. You can see just by their money. They're in that position where, you know, they're fully bought minus some of the utility, and they've got to win a couple rounds here and start building up that bank, or they're going to be stuck in that purgatory, you know, where they just have the ability to buy some MP9s or FAMASs, and against those AKs, especially from what we've seen UConn is already capable of, that's going to be a recipe for a very difficult CT side.
And Villanova's defense has seemed a little stagnant at times. They don't really know what they want to do. Every so often you see a little bit of aggression that works out, like we saw in that second round save. Yeah, they picked up 2 kills, but it really was not round changing. Here you can see a bait setup around the Cubby side, shoulder peak setup with the M4, but DS just relegates that with that nade and the smoke combination. Not all that much they could do here on the Villanova defense, and you could see the retreat there from Cheney on towards the A side itself. The spray does about 50 damage. I don't know how they predicted Kwonye's position, but they continue to aggress. They do not clear the backside, but JL, second time around, will indeed be able to find the kill. Luckily, stays alive, but Kwonye finds the double. Loverman and Lion both fall, and the bomb sitting inside a spawn means do you go B here? Because the stack has arrived on the site itself.
Ooh, Kwonye putting the team on his back this time, getting that 3K, an excellent opening from him coming into this. However, because of that weird delay and the bomb being back at that T-ramp spot, the Villanova team set up on A. There's nobody there to defend B, and I don't think they've heard anything. Reshiram's starting to get a sense that maybe something's not quite right, but unfortunately that means they're going to be on a B retake, which is so difficult on this map. And they obviously have not had a huge positive outcome for them when it's come to a B retake, but they do have a player coming up from B, going to give them a couple different angles of attack and going to give them the best opportunity that they've had so far to retake this. However, there was 2 players in church. That's going to be really difficult. Reshiram able to take out 2, but he's not going to expect Divaso. Oh, DeSovo finds Reshiram, so now his location is known. Tubby tries to come in and revenge his teammate, doesn't find it. DeSovo clutching for UConn, bringing them up to 5-0.
It is such a smart bait and switch setup. You find the first, yeah, the refrag will be there, but you'll go 2 for 1 just about every day of the week in that scenario. You don't expect a second player, and UConn can build off of that because of that. Villanova are cut down, a valiant effort on the retake, but again, for the 3rd time in 5 rounds, they've lost a retake of B, and for the 3rd time in 3 rounds in terms of specifically B plants. It's not looking all that good for them off rip. Decent bit of damage done by that nade, about 30 between 2 players, but still not round changing, and it's another half-ish save kind of buy type thing, whatever you call this, with SMGs. I see a swag 7 and upgraded pistols.
Yeah, this is the exact situation that I was talking about. It's really easy to get stuck in those kind of purgatory style buy situations where you've got enough money to buy something, but not quite enough to buy something that you're comfortable with. And especially with the UConn team operating the way that they are right now, you can't afford to go into these situations without those nades and incendiaries. But 2 to Tubby Muffin. All right, I'll take that any day. JL taking out AKA tag on the other side. But Kwonye with the MP9, not bad for a half buy, and now an AK in the hands of Kwonye, especially after that 3K that he's coming off in the last round, could be big.
It's a round they should have no chance in winning, but now they have an AK, an MP9, and a way back into the site. There is an op and a smoke between them and the site itself, but they've thrown the smoke the wrong way. DeSovo finding a first and swinging onto the second is able to readjust for the second kill, and UConn are able to adjust their playstyle for the lackluster weaponry of Villanova, of which was somehow able to find efficacy. Nonetheless, a round lost for Nova, and UConn continue on their reign of terror, now 6 in a row on the attacking side, and Villanova, understandably, will call a timeout and slow things down just a wee bit.
That was the exact kind of round that Villanova needed. I mean, we weren't expecting them to take a win, considering the differences in the loadouts there, but able to get a couple kills, get a little bit more money in the bank, and you can see that reflected in the buy that they've already got. So now's a good time to take a pause. They're back in the saddle in terms of being able to put up a pretty good fight in terms at least of equipment on paper. So it's going to give them a chance to look at what's been going wrong, what's not worked very well. And I think what the biggest struggle has been is Nova knows that they're in this situation where UConn generally has had the advantage from the entry frags and the executions. Obviously, the bank also in their favor as well, and it's forcing Villanova to rotate early, which is working when they have that rotation. If the team is there, they're doing pretty good jobs of taking those early fights. The problem is that UConn is having this habit of either hanging somebody back or putting the bomb all the way back in T stairs and just kind of leaving that, whether that's on purpose or just kind of an afterthought as they try to go get those picks. It is creating that opportunity for a really late rotate. So now Villanova, instead of being in these defensive positions, are focused on the retake, which obviously, especially for a map like this, can be incredibly difficult depending on who's left alive. And DeSovo on the UConn side has created such a great niche for himself, at least in the last couple of rounds, with those couple of clutches, both with the 1v1s and the 2v2s. So UConn's in a great position. So we're going to have to see if Villanova can claw back right now, but they've definitely got to put a round on the board somewhere.
If they're going to do it, now's the time. You've just taken a decent bit of weaponry away from UConn, made them sweat just a little bit. In this situation, UConn still have that money advantage, as you talked about, but it's not great by any means. If they lose here, they'll be able to buy 4 rifles, maybe a 5th if Lion decides to take some concessions in terms of their armor. But it's not looking all that good by any means. Nova, if they win here, they find a way at least back into the half. I don't know about the map, but they can start to put pressure onto the UConn attack because they really haven't thus far in terms of maybe that round, possibly pistol, and the 3rd round in total. Other than that, 50% of the time, UConn's just chilling.
I think this is the first time Villanova's had an op so far, and Cheney making great use of that, taking out 1, 2, 3 right off the bat, which is exactly what they've been missing in previous attempts since that first round nade attack, or the second round nade attack, excuse me, doing pretty well. So now in this defensive position, it's going to give them a little bit more flexibility to slow things down, try to control the pace a little bit better. But UConn are already taking quite a bit of control, as well as nade directly to the face. So UConn, I think for the first time at an early round disadvantage.
Not a great start, but they're certainly still in this. The Molotov to push JL back a little bit, but the op is still set up, and Areshiram switching things up. It was the double op setup as well. Cheney finding the first, Areshiram with the second, and both sites under full control of Villanova. They have 3 players set up around this A side. That nade a little bit late. You could see the outline of JL, who falls second time around. It's down to tie in a 1 versus 5. The AK will find the first, but nothing more. I do not believe that op will be able to be retrieved, but the AK nonetheless will be picked up, and actually they do pick up an op, but it's not their own. It is indeed the other squad's, but nonetheless, Villanova pick up the round, and because of it, UConn not forced to save, but certainly forced to take some concessions in terms of weaponry. There are those 3 rifles I was talking about. Turns out a 4th is the AK and the 5th is the Galil, so not fully saving, but not fully buying either.
Turns out there were 3 keys to success for Villanova, and 2 of them were ops. So doing great, and that's continuing to create those early round advantages, taking JL down to less than half health. Those spam shots with the op through the wall is super dangerous, especially with those early aggressions that UConn's been focused on in Banana. So now with 4 of their players set up there, they're going for that smoke retake, and that might be enough to overcome the op, especially if they finally get that coffin smoke up that they've been missing in the last 2 rounds. A little bit of counter utility coming out. It's going to hold up UConn with 4 players on the Banana side. You're going to see a couple of them rotating, checking for the rotation through mid. Villanova opting for the more conservative side, but Lover almost finds his mark there. He's going to... that timing is going to take out Tubby as he goes for that early grenade that's going to leave the 2 ops there. Cheney taking out the 1. That's the bomb. The bomb is down now in there, but it doesn't matter because DeSovo, even with the Galil, that so not pleasant weapon, manages to find 1. They're going to get that bomb down. That's all 4 players on the site, and they're just ripping Villanova apart one by one.
Ops never easy to retake with, and you could see AKA Tig taken out because they had a nade in their hand. A flank being set up through the church door, but it's not being fully pushed off of. They just want to slow things down. Nade out again. It costs somebody their life. But a Reshiram with only about 20 seconds or so to get on the bomb, even less to try and start the defuse, needs to retake with the op, and it's just not going to happen. You can see a Reshiram slowing things down, trying to get out. Will at least find a first. Wants to get out with the op in hand. It will not happen. The AK saved over. Mr. Leverman almost certainly picking up the AWP. And UCONN make it the Brazil 7-1 to open up our first map of the season.
I think with the weight of the kills on there, we saw Reshiram taking on 3 and Cheney on 1, both of those coming from that double op setup. So we know that that is at least something that's helping them a lot, right? You know, it's giving them the opportunity to win some of the battles that they were struggling with earlier and deal with some of the aggression that's there. So Cheney really got to take advantage of that. You're going to see Ty go down in mid. He's going to pull back and just focus on defending that A site. UConn a little bit less aggressive than they'd been in the past, but still very patient, very prepared to see what's going on. We saw obviously they adapted really well to those ops, came in and took that round pretty decisively, despite Reshiram's end of round heroics there. So I think UConn has shown already that they're pretty well adapted depending on what the situation gives them.
I think they're aware that Kwanye is waiting under porch. I'm not sure if Kwanye has fully given away their position. The smoke towards mid has been heard at minimum by JL. But even then, UConn lose that opening kill, as you mentioned, and I don't think that Villanova are in the best scenario here. Again, talking about concessions, the FAMAS on the board, but still something they can work with. That Molotov will clear out Porch, and you can see Kwanye has to back away, but in looking to push onto Porch, they fall from that short position. Cheney able to take them away, and Villanova double up their man advantage, now triple as Kwanye finds one. Finally a refrag, but the question now remains, is it too little too late with only 2 left alive here for UConn? Looking to find another, and they find that as well.
Udisovo with that Tubby Muffin kill is going to force the Villanova team to keep their forces split, and that's just Reshiram left over in that church area waiting to see what's going to happen. But he's going to hear those grenades come in. He knows that they're both of the players there. We're going to see the bomb come down in the moment. 1, 2, 3, playing as safe as possible, but you can see the DeSovo's holding that the spawn rotation, moved away from that back into the barbecue place. So it's still technically in favor of Villanova, but we've seen them in these 2v2 situations do very well. And DeSovo blind takes it out. These their angles, their crossfire, just so good.
And it's forcing Villanova to split their attention on these retakes, and it never works out for them. Every time you see UConn in a 2vx scenario, either playing very close together, trying to catch them off guard, or playing extremely far apart and doing the exact same thing. In that situation, finding the first kill forced them to look around towards barbecue, but it was actually that pillar position that shut them down. Another round win for UConn, and Villanova seemingly with very few answers whatsoever, absolutely none on the B site, as they have still yet to retake that site in any effort in doing so. A well-placed fat flash off the backside of the mid wall to try and gain mid control, but it really wasn't being held down by Villanova, just making sure that your T's are crossed and your I's are indeed dotted.
Very impressed with UConn so far in the efforts that they've put forward here, despite even overcoming early round deficits, doing a lot of work to make sure they're kind of forcing themselves into the positions that they want to. Seeing that they have, I don't think, planted the bomb on A once yet, still getting through and able to cause quite a bit of damage, even when it's the more heavily decided site. Cheney pushes through, finds Loverman, goes down to Ty. JL is going to find Tubby, just leaving one left in church on the B site. Villanova at that half buy, not seeing the results that they were hoping for, but a couple players of low health on UConn gives them the opportunity to do say. Kwanye finding illusion, or sorry, 1, 2, 3 through that. JL stuck on site. It's not a bad situation for them to be in.
They can retake this. And they're going to try it as well. Kwanye forward, catching one off guard. Ty goes down towards the backside of pillar. They'll clear it out. JL only finds 2, not the third, at least not so easily. Kwanye looking to retrieve a rifle, but finally is able to pick one up. They look to retreat with the rifle in hand without a kit in hand, and are unsuccessful in doing so. DeSovo able to find one more, and UConn able to find 9. At minimum, UConn will walk away from the half with a 3-round lead, but it looks to be significantly better at the current trajectory they're headed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that the scoreline really reflects the results and efforts of Villanova. I mean, every single one of these rounds have been very close. There's just been a little bit of either a breakdown or just really great individual effort from UConn. I mean, we've seen that from DeSovo several times. JL rushing up and taking out Reshiram from the corner is going to give them maybe their first opening to get onto A side, but you can still see that there are people pushing towards that banana because they know where players are going to be. They're going to continue to push both sides, keep Villanova efforts spread so they don't have the opportunity to put up that stout defense that's going to give them the advantage.
JL, the next to fall, and now around towards the A site, they have to question what they want to do. You could see it's a combination of DeSovo and Ty meeting in mid and then both deciding, hey, B is indeed the call, at least at this point. But with two players set up on either site, you'd think that A would be a little bit more favorable for UConn. They can not only split the site and really take two different 4v1s, or they can take two different 2v1s and not force themselves into a possible crossfire that you can see is established by Villanova here on the B side, which that seems to be the call with 45 seconds. They want to go onto the site. One could be caught off in mid. Kwanye looking to peek around at the perfect time is able to find Mr. Loverman, and they know they're going B, but they left the bomb in banana.
Oh, that's going to give such a great opening for Villanova, but it also might be UConn's opportunity to swap the sites that they're attacking. They've done that several times. Doesn't seem like it. They're already out on the B sites, so they're going that direction. I'm a little surprised that despite the fact that both Tubby and Cheney had a pretty good amount of utility, they didn't really use much of that in the counter to slow things down, opting to just give it up and go for the retake. But the bomb is down in the middle of site. There are 3 players left. Make that 2 for AKA tag. Cheney and Kwanye West put that second round for Villanova on the board. It was a little scary, a little touch and go as all of those rounds have been, but excellent efforts by Villanova to make sure that they were able to double their rounds, get that second up there, and hopefully be on the way to make this a 6-9 half in favor of their side.
You know, if I do say so myself,
side, I guess.
that would be a pretty nice scoreline, Tyler. 6-9.
You know, it is something that we have noted. Thank you.
He's so tired of me. It's week 1. He's already tired of me. Villanova do have a way back into this.
Man.
Well,
they sure do.
Villanova, I feel the main and most important kill in that round is the one in mid to not only cut off the rotation and the 4th player making it over towards B, but that also gives the information to Villanova that B is the call. That late in a round, if you see somebody hauling ass from that A apartment side across from mid towards B, you know that B is indeed the play. And that was not only able to give the defenders that were already on the B site the information that, hey, they're about to start going onto the site itself, but it also allowed them to rotate, and quickly so. You could see how quickly the reinforcements were there for that Villanova defense, and most importantly, they were there in time before UConn really started their attack.
Yeah, and that's definitely been the just general difference maker. If Villanova is able to stack up a site and have people there and prepared to defend in the way that you would hope that they would, they've held up pretty well. Either they've slowed everybody down enough for the rest of the rotation, they've held on pretty well, gotten a couple multi kills, and have otherwise performed pretty well. But when they're forced into that late rotation, especially because UConn's been so good at holding people on site because of their late shifts and rotations, has so far worked in their favor quite a bit. But this is the first round UConn is not able to put in a substantive buy. So UConn's going to be at a slight disadvantage here in terms of their hardware. So Villanova really has to take over and make sure that they take advantage of what they've been given, get that 3rd round on the board, give them the opportunity to continue on that best possible scenario given the circumstances right now. And then when they switch sides, come back with an aggressive T side, basically just give UConn a taste of their own medicine and see if it can close it out. But UConn in a very comfortable position so far.
It's still a way back for Villanova, and by no means should their T side be awful, but it's still something they have to concern themselves with, that being, if we don't get such a good defensive half, how do we look as we head onto the T side? Here's the aggression from UConn. They have the weapon disadvantage, and they damn well know it. They head on towards short and pick up that op right off the bat. Illusion with another. It's 1-2-3 just holding W, and 1-2-3, they knock them down. 3 kills already going the way of UConn. Rifles be damned. They have a doubled up man advantage, and Villanova once more have to retake, and they opt not to do so. The op and the M4 will indeed be saved over, and UConn will reach double digits.
It was a tough round. I think UConn took advantage of Villanova kind of settling into that expectation of a relatively slow development as it had been in the previous 10 rounds or 11 rounds at this point. And they just got run down. Those Tech Nines still so deadly at mid range, especially when you've got a bunch of T-sided players running at you with them. And they just overtook the off. They knew that they were only playing one on that R side, ran around through, and Kwanye trying to do something from the A side, only able to pick up to Sovo, and that ultimately just gave a bunch of hardware over to UConn, and not much point in trying for that. JK forgetting maybe the updated bomb radius, taking quite a bit of damage there, but ultimately holding on to that up. So UConn's coming back into this probably in a much better position than they would have hoped for, with a bunch of extra hardware. Obviously, the win through a bomb is going to give them a bunch of extra cash. Villanova is still able to put together a pretty good buy, but you can see not as good as they would like. You got an MP9 and a couple of people without full utilities, and that's going to be a huge factor in being able to slow down this UConn aggression.
I think the most important part of that round is the fact that UConn didn't actually call a rush in any other round other than maybe the pistol. And there wasn't an expected notion of, hey, they have less weaponry than usual because of how much damage we did. We know they're going to save, we should expect aggression. And they didn't. And the op didn't hit the opening shot, it didn't hit the follow-up either. They lose and are really cut down because of it. Now into a full gun round, Villanova with that disadvantage in terms of hardware. You can see they had to fall off of the B site entirely after losing a kill over on towards A. There are 3 players stacked up on the wrong site, most importantly, and the B site has already fallen. It's been 35 seconds or 45 seconds now. They've lost the B site. They only have an M4 between the site itself and a plant, and that of which they cannot see because, well, there's a smoke.
There's a reason you want to favor that B site, and it's because this retake is so difficult, especially if you're only coming from that CT angle. We have 4 players all pushing towards Church right now, and that's going to give 1 to Tubby Muffin from JL, but there's still 4 players left on that site, and they've all got the crossfire. 1, 2, 3 takes out both Kwanye and Tubby. That's going to cut the Villanova numbers in half to 2, but they've got so few rounds. They've got to try for it. Ty taking out AKA Tag. Cheney trying to put the team on his back with that ob. He's going to go for Loverman in the back, but the timing is not right there, but maybe. Oh, no. Their rotations and their backup for their teammates, so good there. DeSovo, no fear whatsoever, knowing his teammates right behind him. That was a clinical round from UConn.
Oh, yeah, but UConn have now built up their economy once more. Back-to-back round wins off of keeping players alive and, most importantly, not having to spend money in that 12th round means they're in a pretty good spot. Villanova, again, are cut away. They are forced again onto concessions, this time in terms of not only kits, but full armor, of which really don't matter, considering it's mostly AKs and an op on this attacking side. But they don't have all that much utility to hold down the UConn attack, and their lack of utility has usually cost them.
Yeah, I mean, notably, one of the things absent largely just because of the cash fact is that there's not a lot of incendiaries going down in Banana, so they're basically UConn's had free reign of that so far. Very small amounts of utility damage done relative to holding that site. I mean, normally when you think about that, you're going to see anywhere from like the 200 to 300 utility damage by this point in time, and that's just not quite there. So UConn, again, having free reign over that B site. It's something where you got to start considering. I mean, it probably was a while ago that you want to start considering putting 3 players on B or cheating somewhere into Speedway just to give you a little bit more of a backstop against that. But DeSovo taking out Kwanye, trying to rotate through that Banana site. They're trying everything they can to get into these retakes, but nothing there. And UConn just continuing to lay down the damage.
UConn another relatively clean round, almost flawless, but JL falls. Honestly, really disappointed in JL. They've been dying a whole lot. 11 deaths in 14 rounds, really letting the team down. It's really cost them a whole host of rounds as well. All 2 of them they've lost. It's not looking... No, I'm kidding. But I feel the notion is that could cost them later on in the season when they play up against teams that are doing a little bit better. Maybe Marquette, the notable comeback from last season. But I don't know what to make of their current situation because, again, Villanova making 2 changes in terms of Cheney and... well, no, it is just Cheney in this one, because everybody else is still on the board from last season. They do have a new addition, Tyler, as you talked about, but not currently rostered, at least not currently playing as of right now.
Yes. So Cheney having a pretty strong impact as a new player, one of the higher ranks in terms of the paper statistics that are out there. But unsurprisingly, we see UConn go back to that B site. Well, they're hanging out in Banana right now, but we know how this is probably going to end with them committing to that site. However, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is the one time they're going to cheat back to the other side. They are going to run into three of the Villanova players, still opting to hold that three-person formulation on the A site. But Loverman over on B is going to hold those two Villanova players there. JL running in, getting that opening kill on Zaquanye. Cheney able to throw down that molly, slow down the aggression, and find one. They're still playing back from that arches, so unfortunately, AKA Tag trying to play from pit, just not a lot that they can do from that. And DeSovo coming in once again with that op's going to take out Cheney, and that's going to leave just Reshiram with that Mag 7, and then one more with that LMG with Tubby trying to do something in this 15th round. They don't have the option to save anymore, so they're going to go through and do whatever they possibly can. And who knows? I mean, we've seen LMGs do some pretty wild things in the past.
Well, it almost finds one. Reshiram does a decent bit of damage across, but unable to find the full kill. And UCONN able to find yet another round win. It was another round and another retake forced for Villanova. Unfortunately, they couldn't do anything this time around. A site couldn't be taken. I don't think there's a single round in which they were successfully able to defuse the bomb. No, there's not. They won their 2 rounds off of kills, one of which was a surprise to say the very least. The following, a wild one. And now as they switch sides and the names switch, thank you very much, Counter-Strike. Well, you look at Villanova and you say, this has to be a pistol round victory, or you probably immediately lose the map.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then you go back and you start thinking about we're going to go to Vertigo next, where they're going to have an opportunity to show off once again. And these dualies come in; they're so deadly sometimes. JL able to find out Tubby Muffin, but Villanova able to overcome the 2 players there. There's one more left on site for them to take. They're going to find them. AKA Tag coming in, just gets a quick shot onto Loverman.
Hello.
Cheney, long distance kill onto 1, 2, 3 there, and that's going to give them that pistol round that they so desperately need. However, this is still quite the mountain to climb for Villanova, but that starts with that 3rd round going up on the board and see what they can do from there.
Baby steps, they say, Tyler, and, well, Ty into this 1v4 is found the first. Reshiram, however, will take them out. No more headshots found, no more kills either. Therefore, the clutcher, an attempted clutch, but an unsuccessful one nonetheless. Villanova win their 3rd. They're able to walk away with a pistol round victory on this T side, and at least to start bringing themselves back into this. UCONN, I don't think are going to buy all that much, but as I say that, they decide, oh yeah, let's just invest into upgraded pistols and Mag 7.
2, baby.
Because why not? Go for it.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of rounds to play with.
Now, the question is whether Villanova is going to expect this, and if they do, they're going to be prepared for it, but if not, they could be running directly into the crosshairs of that Mag 7 or those deagles, which can be so dangerous on their own. UCONN, again, they're playing with a pretty stacked deck at this point, right? They've got plenty of rounds to work with. They're not really concerned about, giving up a couple of their light buy rounds. So this one is particularly important for Villanova because if they win this, then they're going to maybe get 1 or 2 free rounds back from UCONN before they're able to fully buy. But if they don't go the other way, that's a devastating loss. However, not giving them those long distance fights are going to keep at least one of the deagles out of play under JL, and the Mag 7 is down. So it's going to give them just pistols, but a 2-person advantage as well on the side of Villanova. So they're going in for this B rotate. They're still trying to find that one last player on site. They'll find him shortly. And before the damage goes down, nothing to DeSovo, to the investment that they have. So now it's just 1, 2, 3, and Ty left. And opting, it looks like, to save the deagle.
Yeah, and understandably so. You saw DeSovo there facing up against a full rifle set firing squad. No real way to win that with a pistol in your back pocket. And now looking to just possibly save your armor, save your pistols, hold the phone. It's now a 2 versus 2. There's only one person on the site. AKA Tag is the only one able to hold things down. They've retrieved the MP5 SD and the AK, but they're not going for it. They don't have the kit to host it, and that could cost them. There's Cheney on the flank with the Galil looking to now recover the AK that was dropped of prior. Illusion now looking to swing. 1, 2, 3 is able to find a second. They should be able to save over that AK as well, and they will indeed. So UCONN lose it, but they did a lot better than I thought they were.
That was much closer, as you said, than I would have anticipated being. So props to UCONN for being able to make that an incredibly expensive round. So those free rounds that I talked about from losing that are not as guaranteed as they would have been, or at least not as comfortably. So we see Villanova is starting to upgrade all to AKs. We still have pistols with that one hero AK on the side of UConn. Villanova up to 4 rounds. So I mean, they're putting together a little bit more here. They're getting a little bit of confidence under them, but UConn still with the extreme advantage. And 1-2-3 with that AK could do quite a bit of damage before Villanova is able to get everything through. This time, it's notable that UConn is playing 4 on that A site. So if Villanova steps things up, if they find a little bit of info, you're going to know that that one person is on B and try to take advantage of that. But you have to be so careful because UConn obviously proving themselves to be incredibly deadly, regardless of what's in their hands. So we see JL pushing out to try to get a little bit of information.
What?
Able to find that too with the pistols. I mean, those flanks are super deadly. They do have a lot less, and now the UConn team is going to be aware of the fact that there are people coming behind them. 1-2-3 is on site with the AK. He's going to do quite a bit of damage there. Finding Tubby almost gets a second, but Reshram able to shut him down. That is, however, 2 players on the Villanova side with less than 50 health, and 3 players left on the side of UConn. All 2 with AKs and a pistol, which doesn't seem to matter. Loverman coming in, finding that one there, pushing through. AKA tag tries their best, finds JL, isn't enough to take that 5th round.
Out of all the rounds that were going to be picked up in this half by UConn, they do it off the back of a pistol rush out of apartments because they split the attention of the Villanova stack and were able to pick up both AKs. Out of all the ways they were going to win that is the way they pick it up. An insane way, nonetheless. UConn are able to pick up said first round of the half and now retrieve some rifles. Villanova forced to save, mostly. They have a minimum loss bonus as it stands. They'll have a second loss bonus of $1,900 per player should they lose here. And on paper, they should, by a fairly far margin, lose in this round. But we've seen crazier things, I don't know, maybe last round?
Yeah, I mean, economically speaking, this is probably the nightmare scenario for Villanova to be in. You know, they, like you said, have minimal loss bonuses coming off from that. Oh no, Loverman comes in off of a great flash from DeSovo, takes out 3 from Villanova, and almost guarantees that this round is sealed for the side of UConn, meaning they're going to go up to 15 and match point.
Mr. Loverman mollied off by DeSovo, but this is still looking to be a relatively clean round. Deagle left over is now taken out, and it's just the Tech 9 remaining of Reshram sitting towards wood, and they're well aware of his position. The smoke dissipates, as does Reshram's health bar. UConn find map point already.
And again, I don't think that UConn has entirely shut out Villanova from a lot of these rounds. I mean, they've been competitive. They're going back and forth. They're finding frags. They're trading. They're doing an excellent job. I think UConn is just generally, you know, certainly playing off of that T side advantage that they started with, which just again goes back to how well they were able to split the Villanova defenses throughout that. It's just giving them a lot more to work with on a map that obviously is going to favor the CT side already. So UConn getting more aggressive, just going and getting ready to shut this down, while Villanova is doing the best that they can to make the best out of what they have to offer, which not a lot at this point, but it is something that they could potentially, you know, call back a couple more rounds. And ultimately, when we think about, you know, standings in the grand scheme of the league, the rounds do matter. We do play this best of 2 format, so every round they can get is going to matter when the standings as we go down the line. So even if we're not playing for the map at this point, which Villanova of course still is, the more rounds that they get before they see that 16th click on the side of UConn is super important.
The question now remains, can they get any more than, well, what they're currently at, that being 4? I've seen the whatever number they currently have is all they get. Maybe 15 is all UConn gets, but that seems to not be the case. You can see just 2 for 1 on that A side. A swing from behind for Ty, also finding a kill of their own. And now the cut down of seemingly everything. Reshram left in a 1 versus 4. Not gonna happen. UConn wins 16-4 in their first map of EGFC, not only here in the season, but overall, a clean and clear, defined victory as they walk away with a pretty good win.
Huge opening statement from UConn. Of course, they've still got one more app to do a little bit more speaking of whatever that ends up looking like. We're going to move to Vertigo coming up next. Villanova was their map choice. We saw them do very well on this over the course of season 3. So interested to see what they're kind of bringing into this, and they're going to start on that T side. So we're hoping that we're going to see a little bit more from those than those A ramp battles that tend to develop on Vertigo. We've seen some really interesting, if not, we'll say, peculiar strategies out of teams over the last 16 weeks in season 3. So we'll see how that goes together. But I am very curious to see how UConn plays this. What Villanova has changed, like we talked about, there's only 2 new players on the squad, so most of that team intact from last season, and very excited to see how they've developed over the course, really over the summer.
Well, with UConn, only a few weeks practice required, apparently, to oust Villanova on their own map pick. Starting things off with a victory and a clean one at that. We'll see if they can continue said trend as we head on to Vertigo, and Villanova look to even up the series as the best of 2 continues. But first, a break. We'll see in a bit.
Play pretend where the fun got no end. Oh, can't go home alone again. Need someone to numb the pain. Oh, staying in my play pretend where the fun got no end. Oh, can't go home alone again. Need someone to numb the pain. You're gone and I gotta stay high all the time to keep you off my mind. Ooh, high all the time to keep you off my mind. High all the time to keep you off my mind. High all the time to keep you off my mind. White shirt, now red, my bloody nose sleeping. You're on your tippy toes, creeping around like no one knows. Think you're so criminal. Bruises on both my knees for you. Don't say thank you or please. I do what I want when I'm wanting to. My soul so cynical. So you're a tough guy, like it's really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy. Just always a tough guy. I'm the bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, makes it tissue that type. I'm the bad guy. It's better to take control, even if you know that you don't own me. I'll let you play the role, I'll be your animal. My mommy likes to sing along with me, but she won't sing a song if she reads all the lyrics. She'll pity the man I know. So you're a tough guy, like it's really rough guy. Just can't get enough guy, just always a tough guy. I'm the bad type, make your mama sad type, make your girlfriend mad type, makes it tissue that type. I'm the bad guy.
It's beautiful, it's bittersweet. You're like a broken home to me. I take a shot of memories and black out like an empty street. I fill my days with the way you walk and fill my nights with broken dreams. I make up lies inside my head like one day you'll come back to me. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just depressed that you're gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. In my head, in my bed, making beautiful mistakes. In my head, in my bed, making beautiful mistakes. Full, I can't believe how every day gets worse for me. I take a break, I cut you off to keep myself from looking stuff. I fill my nights with the way you was and still wake up with broken dreams. I make these lies inside my head feel like they're my reality. Now I'm not holding on, not holding on. I'm just depressed that you're gone. Not holding on, not holding on. Beautiful mistakes I make inside my head. She's naked in my bed, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. I wouldn't take them back. I'm in love with the past, and now we lie awake, making beautiful mistakes. In my head, in my bed, making beautiful mistakes. In my head, in my bed, making beautiful mistakes. Making beautiful mistakes. I caught it bad yesterday. You hit me with a call to your place. Ain't been out in a while anyway. Was hoping I could catch you throwing smiles in my face. Romantic talking, you don't even have to try. You're cute enough to play with me tonight. Looking at the table and I see the reason why. Baby, you live in the life, but baby, you ain't living right. Champagne and drinking with your friends. You live in the dark, but I cannot pretend. I'm not faced, only innocent. If being in your garden, you know that you can. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me out by your name, I'll be on the way. Like I wanna sell what you're buying. I wanna feel on your lips in Hawaii. I want the jet lag from playing and flying. Put a smile on your mouth while I'm driving. By me, the sign of the times every time that I speak. A dime and a nine, it was mine every week. What a time and it's flying, that was shining on me. Now I can't leave. And now I'm acting hella elite. Never want the bitches that's in my league. I only want the ones I envy, I envy. Champagne and drinking with your friends. You live in the dark, but I cannot pretend. I'm not faced, only innocent. If being in your garden, you know that you can. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me up by your name, I'll be on the way. Like, call me by your name and tell me you love me in private. Call me by your name. I do not care if you're lying. When you want me, call me, I'll drop everything. Don't need your name, cause I don't have to say it. Fuck it, let's ride. Fuck it, let's ride. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me in the morning, I'll be on the way. Call me when you want, call me when you need. Call me up by your name, I'll be on the way. Like I just need to get it off my chest. Yeah, more than you know. Yeah, more than you know. You should know it, baby, you're the best. Yeah, more than you know. Yeah, more was hot from summer rain, sweat dripping off me. Before I even knew her name, la la la. It felt like ooh la la la, yeah. Oh, sapphire moonlight. We danced for hours in the sand, tequila sunrise. Her body fit right in my hands, la la la.
Cause you know it's been a long time coming, don't you let me fall.
Oh, how your lips undress me, hooked on your tongue. Oh, love, your kisses deadly, don't stop. I love it when you call me señorita. I wish I could pretend I didn't need you, but every touch is ooh la la la. It's true la la la. Oh, I should be running. Oh, you know I love it when you call me señorita. I wish you.
Map number 1 goes the way of UCONN, but into Vertigo now is where Villanova need to be able to come back in this best of 2, our only second map, nothing more, nothing less here as Villanova look to retake. And Time to Light still joining alongside me, Viking and Tyler. Any expectations for Nova to try and switch things up?
I mean, it is their map pick, so we're gonna assume that they're gonna feel more comfortable on this, or at least have a renewed sense of confidence coming back into it. UConn obviously had a big round deficit coming out of the T side. This time they're going to be starting on the CT side, which is going to give them the opportunity to again set the pace, really set what they expect from Villanova in terms of their responses. And Villanova this time around going for contact play, it looks like, and they're going to go hard into sight now. There's going to just kind of overrun it. They're going to get that opening kill with Sovo going out by Tubby Muffin. Loverman able to come back. 1, 2, 3, taking out AKA tag. These are kills all going in favor of UConn. That quick rotation's coming in. Now it's just Cheney fighting for his life against 4 players. Finds 1, 2.
Oh, doesn't expect the third, though. It doesn't matter! Hold the phone, he still got this. 1 versus 1. Apparently a duel of the round, but luckily 1, 2, 3 is able to pick it up. A wild pistol. They didn't clear out sandbags nor the backside of scaffolding, so it could have gone either way. If Villanova found those opening 2 kills and really then push onto the site, it would have been their round. But the lack of crossing your T's, dotting your I's, your due diligence not being there cost them that. It was almost brought back. Valiant effort from Cheney, just the final shot not hit and them being so low HP, not even a headshot was required to take him out.
Cheney is the newest player to the Villanova side, absolutely proving their worth here. Now, as we see UConn go into a more default setup, they're going to be buying several M4s and their FAMASs, so they're well equipped to take on this. And we see a little bit of an upgrade on the side of Villanova, opting to force into this. That is round end heroics from Cheney. They're giving them a little bit more room. Ty finds AKA tag and Cheney going down for 1. These trades coming in very quickly, going up this A ramp site. Tubby's going to have to check all different kinds of angles, and he's, oh, the timing.
Does turn around.
Oh,
and does find
those
one,
crossfires.
It's chaos. Welcome to Counter-Strike, unfortunately, here, Villanova. Not much they could have done overall. They did try and buy up. Hold the phone. Kwanye has just caught DS Ovo with their pants down, and a FAMAS has now been retrieved. A 1v2 certainly possible with the lackluster rifling in their hand, but both players watching the heaven position means 1, 2, 3 will inevitably get the kill, and UConn will indeed pick up their second round, however, a costly one nonetheless.
It is indeed. So Villanova now a little bit on the back foot. You're going to see a couple of those Tech 9s come out on their side. Deagle's a little bit of upgraded pistols. They got a little bit of cash to work with just to try to do something with that. And if they could get a little bit of effort or a little bit of hardware off of the UConn side, we've seen how that can turn around super, super quickly. Ty taking a little bit of team damage there, just a friendly, poke in the back saying, hey, get moving. And we're off to the start of this where Villanova is slowing down pretty significantly, just trying to find these picks with the pistols. It seems like they're pushing a little bit into mid for the first time in this game. A little bit of a trade there. Tubby taking some damage, but trading to 1, 2, 3. There goes Cheney. Tubby just escaping with 3 HP, but not for long. Ty taking out Reshiram. It's been cleanup across the map now. Everybody just trying to find those remaining Villanova players and end the round, while Villanova is still roaming, trying to find any of those UConn players that have gotten too brave to stay on their sites. No contact so far, but there is still quite a few roaming players hanging out, doing their thing.
And this should be the round as well. The flank from behind, it won't even find one. The swing from the MP9 only finds one. Kwanye now in a 1 versus 3, unfortunately won't find anything. UCONN, coming into the season, have apparently added 2 different things. The Counter-Strike as a game to their esports side of things, and maintenance as a major, which is probably a good thing, because Villanova, with how bad this is going, there's got to be a cleanup on Isle Vertigo at some point. Also,
Alright.
quick note. I looked into the previous games. Cheney was on the team last year.
Under
I thought
different name?
No, under Cheney. I thought I noticed them. I thought I remembered them. They just played on the team. They actually in the last game of the season they played on the team that beat Marist.
I feel like you're gaslighting me. Oh, maybe
I
not.
thought I
Was that
remembered
last
them.
year?
Yeah, it was last year.
Oh, maybe
It was
they
the last game of the
were they
season.
end of season ad?
I could check, but maybe.
They weren't consistent in it, or maybe they were the player that they couldn't get in because of scheduling issues. I know there were a couple instances of that happened last year, but in the here and now, UConn finds themselves down a player able to equalize that. But Cheney, coming from the equalizer there, is going to find 2 Sovo and 1, 2, 3 going down to give Villanova their first round win of their map selection. So Villanova able to finally put a stop to some of the momentum that UConn had been building up. They're going to take that first kill, that first round. They're going to leave UConn in a position where money's decent. They're going to try to put out just a light buy there, some upgraded pistols and some SMGs. Try to answer up close, and Villanova not expecting them to be super close. 1, 2, 3 takes out his player and Tubby for their trouble. That's going to give the equalizer back to UConn, but it is most importantly going to give an AK over to 1, 2, 3. So it's going to give them a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more firepower. Kwanye finds Loverman trying to push out from that B site down the stairs, trying to get as much information, and that opening is going to give the go-ahead to Villanova to start pushing up that B site. You can see them aggressively pushing in, trying to beat the rotation, and we've got one player on the site, that's Ty, waiting for the rotation. He's going to go down as Kwanye finds that opening kill, and we've got 2 players rushing in from the UConn side. 1, 2, 3 takes out Kwanye with that picked up AK. They're going to wait patiently for that that retake. DeSovo goes down to the Molly, and that's just going to leave 1 player out there. A lot of chip damage being done to 1, 2, 3. He's still trying to hold on to that AK as best he can while the angles are being held by Villanova. They are not going to give this up.
No, they're not aggressing either. I like the patience here from Nova. AK Tag does die. Still a shot here for 1, 2, 3, but I don't think they're going to even try it. They don't have a kit, and now they only have 6 HP to work with. The spray is there, the Molotov as well. This is a 1 round for Villanova. Another one at that, a chaotic one to say the very least, but a victory regardless. UConn really cut down in this, and 1, 2, 3 had to run for the hills in that situation. Really any closer than CT to the bomb would have killed them. Luckily, it does not.
A little bit of nerves, creating some uncertainty there, especially as 1, 2, 3 made that aggressive push through mid. And despite the fact that he took out his teammate, picking up that AK, I think is probably worth the life of one of your friends there. So, able to do a little bit of at least anxiety-inducing actions. So now we're going to see Villanova aggressively coming back to that A side. We're going to see some of those pre-nades come down. Not going to connect, but they are aggressively up that A ramp. They're going to miss that Molly, but they're going to pick up one, so it's fine. They've got multiple players on the A site over here for UConn. Going to give them 3 kills. But a little bit of an equalizer coming out from Villanova, so they're slowing it down immensely. That flash creates a huge opportunity. AKA Tag trying desperately to control that spray, almost loses it, but ends up coming up on the winning side. However, that HP is incredibly low. Oh, you see the headshot, just a missed opportunity from UConn there, but they're pushing up. They're going to find that second spray. Loverman comes in with a clutch, helps out the team to their 4th round victory. Villanova is still at 2.
And Villanova at this point, apparently Ty decided to switch his group, by the way. You could see FPL bot number 1. But a note was that you could see Ty in not only that round, but a few of the others trying to aggress quickly, but is only 5 and 6 thus far. Not looking all that good, at least not early on here for UConn. Another note, by the way, Cheney was part of the inconsistent roster of Villanova because they had a whole host of subs throughout the season. But it was notably them, Internet, AK Tag, Kwanye West, Tubby Muffin, and Reshiram were the main players alongside Puberty. So they had really an 8-man roster for 5 spots. So you can see every so often there were consistent substitutions.
Yeah, nobody going quite so far as Marquette, where they built specific packages out for the map based on kind of the
Yeah.
expertise. Some good rotations and certainly some good circumstantial efforts there. And JL, the difference and the change ups from UConn coming here are creating a great opportunity for the team, right? You don't really know when they're going to be super aggressive, where they're going to hold back. They're doing a great job of being just variable enough to keep Villanova off of a solid footing, really. So Villanova comes back into it. Again, they're just like in the last game, they're not out of these rounds by any means. You can see, obviously, they picked up quite a few of them, 2 of them out of the 7 that have been played so far, and doing a pretty good job of taking the battles when they're there. A lot of it's just been a result of timing, or just not expecting someone to be there because UConn's changed up how they're going to play a particular site. So as they've been played patiently and they're waiting for UConn to push a little bit more aggressively, they've been able to punish that. Being able to close out on that has been a difference.
The question remains for Villanova, can they pick up some of these kills? Good night, JL. Somehow doesn't take out Cheney. Cheney returning the damage, and even more so to find that one-shot headshot. They also follow the law of drop the op to the low HP player. Now, Cheney wielding Big Green, but it's the man advantage for Villanova off the back of Cheney's kill, and somehow AK Tag able to aggress towards B just the same, finding a kill of their own. The question remains for you, Tyler. If you're Villanova, what do? Because, as you can see, A's relatively occupied.
It's really tough without the map control and the information, right? But Cheney doesn't care about that. Finds Ty, who's been a little bit of aggressive, standing up on that sandbags, but nobody's looking behind them. So 1-2-3 has the opportunity for several, takes out 2 of them and able to get away without taking any damage whatsoever. While he's mollied off from that rotation on the other side, it doesn't really matter because the players are on site. DeSilvo pushing through the smoke and aims and connects with Tubby Muffin's head as he tries to put down that bomb, and that's just going to leave AKA Tag not able to take on DeSilvo, who'd repositioned at that point. So I think Villanova, they got the picks that they needed. They just ran into these situations where they didn't have anybody covering their flank. That created that opportunity for 1-2-3 to come in and get there and get that double kill. And then it was just a matter of time with the crossfires and the angles that you have to check. That site can be so punishing to take when you don't have a sufficient amount of utility or manpower. And unfortunately, that was just the case as they progressed up that ramp.
I feel like the most important part of that round is not only the fact that they get that opening swing with 1-2-3, but they communicate to DeSilvo that the Molotov is not allowing them to plant on default, so DeSilvo doesn't spray anywhere near default. They spray towards the center of the site and find the gamble shot landing. Speaking of a gamble shot, good night, DeSilvo. No second attempt for you. Still a deagle available, at least there was there for Tubby Muffin. They will fall a 3 versus 3, sir. 3 versus 3, sure, but UConn have a significant weaponry advantage.
And especially with that AWP, although it's pushed up far enough, but he's just going to catch that. And there goes the head of AKA Tag, and that's difficult. However, 1-2-3 taking a bunch of damage from those Tet9s as they come in through. Ty being a good teammate comes in. Don't worry, Tags out 1-2-3. I got this. Takes out Rusherum. Closes that out for them. That definitely could have gone the way very directly. I think the main issue that we ran into is that Villanova at the end there just weren't grouped up, and that separation gave too much opportunity for those refrags. And again, UConn doing such a great job of just staying connected at the hips. They're not giving a lot of disconnected moments there. Cheney taking advantage of a great flash, able to take out JK. Mr. Loverman, who pushed up aggressively into mid, is going to take out Tubby, who's been playing that flank position in that mid opportunity. Still staying mostly committed to the B site. There is, however, DeSilvo with that op on that site that's going to make things very, very uncomfortable. However, there are still 2 players from the UConn side staying committed to A. So if they decide to push right now, they're going to only deal with half of the team. And those mollies coming in, it looks like they're going to trigger that. Are they able to push through that? They know that there's an op there, but that's flash coming out, not getting anybody. So they're going to get all the way up onto site. It's just a matter of who takes what first. But DeSilvo and Loverman playing excellently off the same angle, able to find 2 players and cut that aggressing force in half, retaking the site. The territory is going back and forth. It's like watching a game of Risk. Loverman comes in, follows up, gets Rusherum out there, leaving just Kwanye alone. He's going to try for that angle, but DeSilvo through the smoke takes him down, and that is the end of the 10th round, again, in favor of UConn.
While DeSovo only finds 3 kills, they find an all-important third shot leg onto AK Tag as they swing from that rafter/scaffolding position on the left side as they walk forward. And that allowed the finish from Mr. Loverman as they were able to lock down the far side, because the crossfire was still established, and low HP long range is relatively easy to take out with an M4 as long as you hit that first shot, and they did. UConn find 8 because of it, and Villanova, again, having some struggles not only getting onto the site, but really locking it down later on. This time it's on the T side to open things up rather than what was on the CT side to getting onto the site to retake last map, but still an applicable conversation of which they really don't seem to have an answer to.
It's tough. I mean, we talked about this. I talked about this before, where these rounds are not incredibly one-sided. You know, there's just like a big moment that happens, right? They run into 2 or 3 people into a spray that's, you know, pre-fire. That's going to happen. It doesn't matter what level of play you're dealing with, right? And they're getting into these executes, and they're doing a pretty good job. You know, every once in a while, a missed molly or a missed smoke is creating an uncomfortable situation for them, but it's not like they're going into these situations completely outmatched. And so the difference in some cases is literally just one frag going in the opposite direction. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to string that together just yet. They have not been able to take advantage of, you know, full utility as often as we would like, but they're trying, and we see them here going for a buy. Tubby's going to have full utility, so they're going to have the opportunity. And I think maybe the answer is they just have more concentrated rushes into one spot, you know, lay off the default. They're not always winning those one-on-ones, although sometimes those are going drastically in their favor. But even with that man advantage, it's not always enough. So they got to give them the opportunity to do that and continue to capitalize on it.
Is this Villanova's second timeout, or is it their first? And I'm just thinking that there's been a second, because I feel like it's their second in like 3 rounds, if I recall correctly. And after the last time, they didn't really have all that much of an answer. This time around, they have to, because AKs across the board, they have 1 full kit of utility. The rest is really a full kit split between 4 players. 5 nades between 4 players. That being a flash, 2 mollies, and 2 smokes. Not all that much to work off of, and mid seems to be the call for them. You could see 4, now 5 players aggressing in that way, but with just 1 on the other side, Mr. Loverman is looking for a lineup here. On the backside of their own smoke, they're well aware of that gap in it. It's been established intentionally so. They're trying to make it out, and they will do so indeed. Finding not only a kill, not extra damage, but at least creating chaos for Villanova's attack, and they'll just retreat with their life.
Smart choice. Take what you can get and get out, right? And they're coming back kind of with a renewed sense of opportunity to come together, get some of that refrag magic that UConn is bringing into it potentially. And you see them playing together in those pairs, trying to figure out what's going on either site, and if they're going to be able to find that opening, which they certainly could. I mean, Loverman still being at half health, not, you know, having a lot of success in that trade is not going to be where they want to, but they're exploring this mid position, and we're going to see if they can find anything out of it. It looks like Loverman playing a little bit further back isn't going to give them anything in terms of an immediate advantage, but we're going to see this boost here. Are they going to get that information? Yes, Loverman goes down to Cheney. It's going to be a great opener, but something where they still have to be more on the conservative side because they don't have a lot of room for error.
A well-placed nade, did a decent bit of damage, and Ty's able to swing off of it. Not only hearing the sound cue of the nade landing specifically onto a player rather than onto the wall and then doing a little bit of damage, but they can push off of it, finding the kill. Guanyu with a double on the backside of the site, but Ty with a quad in the round. Almost the ace, but Mr. Loverman finding the opening kill will make sure that is indeed not the case. UConn, regardless, will find a 9th round off the back of Ty's heroics, not only in mid off the back of their teammates' utility, but on the site itself off the back of their teammates' shortcomings. And UConn seemingly cannot be stopped. Can't be stopped, can't be moved, can't be rocked. We hot.
They've got really great momentum there, and Ty, that play through the smoke did so well for them there, right? Villanova obviously was not expecting that. They were using the smoke as the wall, but UConn just completely unfazed by that, pushing it around, using the gap in the smoke there to get the most out of it, and that flank just absolutely was the implosion point of that round.
Oh my gosh.
Villanova taking a lot of that early damage, but finding the first kill in the round is going to give them a little bit more confidence to continue the progression on there. UConn backing up just a little bit, giving a little bit more space on the ramp. They've got the information. They don't need to push for it, and P can give those one-on-ones. Not a ton of utility for the Villanova side to work with here, and UConn expecting that they're continuing to try with this, just a little bit is going to push there. That nade not finding a whole lot of purchase, but a little bit of that fire goes on. UConn not able to hold the site just yet, but Ty still behind those sandbags, still alive somehow, finds 2, finds 3. Ty is an absolute madman. He's gonna get the 4th. Oh my god.
He just
Wow.
aced. He found 9 kills in 2 rounds. Somebody nerf Ty. What is this? This man just decides, oh yeah, I'm going to chill at sandbags, find an opening kill, it's not going to be communicated. A second around towards the backside of site, finally it's communicated and they start to clear me. But I kill a third, I drop the bomb, and I'm like, oh yeah, 2 more kills, no problem. 1 magazine, 5 kills. 2 rounds, 9 kills. I feel that EGF needs to issue sanctions on Ty. You owe this, you own this place, Tyler, can you do that? I know he kind of shares your name, but still.
Sorry, I'm dedicated to not interfering. Oof, that's not a great opener for UConn's, well, I'm sorry, for Villanova's aggression there, although Tubby able to take out a Tie, so they've nerfed
Finally.
the UConn team.
Oh no.
Taking them out there. That's good news.
Not so good news. There's a flank. Mr. Loverman with a double of their own. This time it wasn't really clearing stuff, it was making sure that something wasn't clear. 1, 2, 3, the last one on the site, takes a little bit of damage, but both players here for Villanova are low. 1-2 shot between the two of them. 3 shots total, ends the round. Unfortunately, DeSova with that op in hand doesn't find the first. 1, 2, 3 finds for the second, but aka Tag on 19 HP, a single shot from death, but Illusion will die off the back of just a single headshot required. Finally, Villanova win, and off the back of taking down Ty first, albeit with about 17 shots through the scaffolding wall, but a kill nonetheless.
It was a much better round from Villanova across the board, despite the fact that they're still falling victim to these flanks. We've seen that happen now, I think, 3 times over the 13 rounds that have been played. Almost catastrophic for them, but Tubby able to just, tie up those boots real tight and put the team in that little backpack and just run on the site and get so much more than they've been able to in previous rounds. That third round is super important. They're still obviously not in a comfortable position as they think about what they're going to try to accomplish as they move over to the T side. But if they can pick up 2 more rounds, 10-5 is respectable enough, that if they get that pistol round, they can be back in the position, but they're not going to see him sit there. JL playing so aggressively up there is going to do exactly what UConn did on the other side when they took out Ty, and they're going to nerf Villanova by taking out Tubby. And that flank comes in once again, almost not communicated, but it doesn't matter because AKA Tag not able to respond to that effectively. Going to lose 2 of them to Loverman before being taken down by Cheney. So that's going to leave this 2-on-3. Reshiram with the op does have the opportunity to equalize from the A site, but so far nobody willing to push through that, although they're getting dangerously close. And it's Ty.
There's an op on the other side. It doesn't matter. Reshiram dead. Cheney 1 versus 3. Swung on once more. Ty does damage, but doesn't find the kill. 12 HP for Cheney. 14 for 1, 2, 3 as they're stuck on the backside of elevators. They will retreat towards heaven with that M4 in hand. But remember, Cheney's just 1 shot from death with 2 players still alive. They too see him and drop him as well. 11 for UConn. 1 away from a 12-3 half and the final round of the half as well. It's not looking good for Villanova again.
Not great, but not impossible. That's the most important thing. Always try to stay optimistic. That's what we're going for. Villanova, bring it back. 16-11, no problem.
It's a hope for them. And it looks like an A rush is indeed the call. They're sending it around towards that A side. Molotov's waiting for them on the other side, though. They can't push up scaffolding. They're walking straight into Ty, who is yet to be nerfed by this Villanova side. Shot up and over. It's 1, 2, 3 with a double at that. 1 versus 4 for Kwanye. Not going to happen. They're cut down again. And a 12-3 scoreline for UConn. If you combine the first half of this game and the first half of the previous game, the combined score for you, Tyler, 25-5.
UConn doing an excellent job of, again, making that statement that we talked about. Love to see that in their opening debut with us here in EGFC Season 4. You can see here that the input and the impact from Ty cannot be understated. There was a 125 ADR, doing an excellent job to service their team, being super aggressive into mid. They're going to find that first pick, that second pick coming from JL. They are losing HP as they go, but it doesn't matter because they're still keeping those bodies up. And as long as they can pull a trigger,
My
that's all that
gosh.
matters. As you see them just absolutely bulldoze over mid onto the B site. It's going to leave just Cheney, who does find one, but finds Ty in an unfortunate 1v1, and Ty living up to the reputation that he established in the first half. Going to take out Cheney, and that's going to put the 13th round on the board for UConn, putting them firmly in the driver's seat that they've been in. And now, they're looking out the window, waving as they go by.
Ty and Mr. Loverman have a combined 41 kills through 16 rounds. I don't think the impact there can be understated. Kwanye just sitting on the boost position will find an opening, so DeSovo dropped early, a decent start for Villanova, but unfortunately a little bit of damage done by DeSovo means Kwanye just on low HP can be taken out relatively easily. A double from 1-2-3, but they're stuck down to 60 HP as well. While, yeah, Villanova don't particularly win the opening engagement, they bring it to very fairly close as a retake is once more required.
So as they slow down in the middle there, the bomb being down is something of an advantage to the Villanova side, but they're just pushing through and they're getting all of those angles. 1, 2, 3. UConn is having such a great smoke flank day. They're just able to play around the edges of those smoke. That's 2 huge rounds where that close flank has come into play there and give them the ability to take out multiple people, where just not covering those angles, not being aware of the gap in the smoke, or just having, too many things to worry about all at once has been very difficult for Villanova to deal with.
Well, you saw 1-2-3 with some Overwatch 2 level tracing as the jump over came through. That looked actually really satisfying in Counter-Strike. You don't usually see that because people don't jump around like chickens with their heads cut off all the time. That situation wasn't really jumping like a chicken with your head cut off, just jumping up and over, but still a situation that I found mildly entertaining. Dink across at Kwanye, already an opening. JL finds a kill of their own in towards mid. This round seemingly already over with weapon disadvantages here for Villanova, and they don't have any money. It'll be max loss bonus into this final round of play, almost certainly. They do have bomb control. Correction, they did have bomb control. Now they don't, and they've lost the round. 15-3. Tyler, I blinked, and it's UConn match point.
It is coming together that quickly at the end there, and I think part of that may be just a little bit of impatience or frustration from the side of Villanova. They're taking a more aggressive stance than they had in the past. Part of that, I'm sure, is in an attempt to change up how things are going. Obviously, things not going in their favor over the last 18 rounds so much, but they still are in a position to try to challenge a little bit. They've got those Zumps and Famasas and MP9s, and they can do whatever they can. Rushroom going down earlier is not going to help out their cause, but they did slow down the UConn advance just a little bit. It might be enough to get some players over there and do some damage. You do see that Kwanye is trying to push for that flank, taking a page out of UConn's book. UConn's kind of stuck on that ramp right now, waiting for another pick. But right now, they're just hanging out there. And if they come through, see Kwanye starting to push up the ramp.
Oh my gosh.
Able
Not
to do
finding
some
the opening
damage,
kill.
but not close it. Oh, that's heartbreaking. That was a great flank and almost something that would have made a huge difference. And that close effort by Cheney. But unfortunately, it's Ty that runs in with JL. 2v1 aka Tag has got the entire match on his hands now.
Not happening, unfortunately. 16-3, 16-4. The two maps in no particular order. Useful wins the map, aka UConn's Face It team name, but a victory and a convincing one at that for UConn themselves. They walk away with the victory, and convincingly so. 32-7, the overall round differential through this series, and a short one at that.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really know what to expect from UConn coming there. We've learned from the past that when you look at a FACEIT rank or an MM rank, like you're not going to necessarily talk to their expectations and create positive predictions. I think Villanova had some of the same struggles that we saw last season. I mean, at the end of the day, they ended up literally 50-50, perfect 500 score over the course of the entire season. So they certainly had really bright moments. They took on some really great teams and did absolutely stunningly. This time, UConn came out, wanted to make their opening statement, and they did so convincingly. So I would put them up there with where we would expect the DePaul and the Marquettes to be. And we're going to see three new teams playing later today. We don't really know what to expect from Weber State or Bowling Green. We are expecting RIT to be pretty good, so we'll see what that looks like. And a great match. I'd love to see this, and we saw some incredible plays from some of those teams out there, and I just expect more to happen the rest of it today.
And Villanova starting things off maybe on the back foot, but it was off of what you can see was relatively convincing mistakes. Sometimes not clearing a corner, not clearing the backside of smoke, communication maybe not being the best thing, but that's something they can work on. And there's a whole season to work on that. UCONN coming into this with 3-4 weeks of practice, looking clean and clear, pretty damn good in these first two maps of play. But we got more maps coming your way and more teams to do so. DePaul, the reigning champions, taking on the Rochester Institute of Technology, one of the new teams here, at least for CSGO in the EGFC. We'll see if they can live up to their Overwatch and Rocket League level names when we come back.
When you feel my heat, look into my eyes. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide. Don't get too close. It's dark inside. It's where my demons hide. It's where my demons hide.
You are the shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another start, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive? Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all your fantasy? Where are you now? We were imaginary. Where are you now? Atlantis, under the sea, under the sea. Where are you now? Another dream. The monster's running right inside of me. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. Where are you now? Where are you now? I'm burning bright but faded lights. You've set a heart on fire. Where are you now? Where are you now? I'm burning bright but faded lights. You've set a heart on fire. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Atlantis, under the sea, under the sea. Where are you now? Another dream. The monster's running right inside of me. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. Where are the times gone, baby? It's all wrong. Where are the plans we made for two? Yeah, I know it's hard to remember the people we used to be. It's even harder to picture that you're not here next to me. You say it's too late to make it, but is it too late to try? And in our time that you wasted, all of our bridges burned down. I wasted my nights, you turned out the lights. Now I'm paralyzed, still stuck in that time when we called it love. But even the sun sets in paradise. I'm at a payphone trying to call home. All of my change I spent on you. Where have the times gone, baby? It's all wrong. Where are the plans we made for two? If happy ever after did exist, I would still be holding
paste. Now you can hear us. Apologies for that one. Basically, this is Ty. That's Tyler. Ty earlier said fairly happy to start things off. Tyler, I'm going to have you repeat your question because I don't know how to route audio.
All right, Tommy. Sorry about that. So, we were asking, we were talking about your with your captain ahead of the match. Your relatively new team. So we were just trying to get a sense of how the last couple of weeks have come together, what you've done in preparation for the season, and kind of how you're feeling about things so far.
Yeah, absolutely, we were very excited for the EGF new season, and it also is my first uh first season in the EGF, and we practice like every day, and we really wanna win some games, and yeah,
I mean, you've done
Wait,
an excellent job of that so far. Obviously, going 2-0 in your opening match is pretty great. Obviously, you weren't with us last season, but as you look at kind of the schools across the league right now, is there anybody that you're particularly excited to play against this split?
mm, oh, you mean schools?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we wanna play it. We wanna play against the Depot. Yeah,
yeah, they're pretty monstrous out there, and
they're
we have
they're
our
pretty
team back.
good. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, well, they started things off and they will start things off after this. Any final words, any final thoughts overall, Ty, before we send it away?
Yeah, I wanna say thank you to EGF, and so we have a chance to play against other schools, and I wanna shout out to my coach, my teammates, and you guys, and thank you so much. Yep.
Well,
Thanks
thank
so
you
much
very
for your
much, Ty,
time.
for joining us. And a congratulations off of victory. Not only do you get the chance to play, you get a chance to win, of which you've capitalized off of to open things up. Now, we'll send it to a break, and when we come back, it's RIT taking on the aforementioned DePaul to see if DePaul can live up to the hype that Ty has brought them, or if RIT come out with a screamer, just as UConn has picked up here in our first series. We'll find out after the break.